Today we will start with Unit 1, Physical Walls and Measurement. Chapter 1, Physical Wall. Today we will learn about science, scientific method and physics. First of all, we will start with science. The word science originates from Latin verbs scientia, meaning to know. So science means to know something. So why we study science? Because we want to know. We want to know something in very, very detailed manner. That's why we study science. What is science and what is scientific method? Science is a systematic attempt. That means it is a step-by-step process to know about the natural phenomenon around us. So science is a systematic attempt to understand the natural phenomena in as much details and depth as possible, and use that knowledge which we already gained to predict. For example, to predict whether today there will be rain or not, today there will be sunshine or not, and so on and so forth, to predict whatever will happen around us in the environment or in the nature. Now, to modify it, for example, when we get the knowledge, we can modify it. For example, if you take technology, if you look at technology, if you look at mobile phone, there is a big difference between the mobile phone of today and those mobile phone which is 10 years before. The mobile phone of today is much advanced and much modified compared to the mobile phone which is 10 years ago. And to control the phenomena, for example, when we study science, when we get the knowledge, we can control also the phenomena, especially in diseases, for example, like malaria. Now, by studying about malaria, we know that it is caused by the mosquito. So what happened here is that when we get that knowledge, we try to control the breeding of mosquito. So when the breeding of mosquito is controlled, that means malaria also is controlled automatically. So science is exploring. In science, we get every day new theories. Every day we get new formulas because it is exploring. Experimenting. So in science, we have to do experiment. So in every field, if you study science, you see in every field we need to conduct an experiment and predicting from what we see around us. So again, in science, we when whatever is happening around us, we can also predict next time if the same condition is happen according to what we have seen in and around us. The scientific method involves several interconnected steps. For example, scientific observation. So scientific method, it is involved in several interconnected steps. It is not a one-step process. It has so many steps. For example, step number 1 is systematic observation. You must have a systematic observation, or very, let us say, step-by-step process observation, what is happening in nature. So when we get that knowledge, we will have what we call, again, control experiment. For example, let us say, take the falling of an apple. First, it is the natural phenomena that the apple is falling down. Now, when we see that the apple is falling down, then after that we will try to, let us say, doing what we call control experiment on why the apple is falling down. Now, qualitative and quantitative reasoning. So in science, you must have what we call qualitative and quantitative reasoning. You must have the ability to question or to reason out why it is happening, how it is happening, where it is happening, and so on and so forth. So the ability to question or reasoning we should have in science. Mathematical modeling. So in science, we must also have what we call mathematical modeling. So everything, let us say, if we write them in words, it will be too complicated to us to understand. So what happens, sometimes we write them in terms of mathematics or mathematical terms, what we call mathematical formula. So it makes us much easier, and it makes much clearer to us. Now we can have also prediction and verification of theories. So in science, when you discover something, when you write some theories, it has to be verified. And sometimes also we call falsification of theories. Some theories we prove them wrong. Now the interplay of theory and observation, that means the interconnection between observation and theory, or experimental science and theoretical science, it make big, let us say, progress in the field of science. Science is ever dynamic. It is not stable. It is not static. Every time you see, science is changing. Look at the mobile phone, what we have today. You see, it is always, let us say, modified. Every day new models are, advanced models are coming out in the market, because it is always dynamic. As observation is improved, we also have to make the theories change according to the observation or the experimentation that we have. Now let us see what is physics. The branch of science which essentially deals with the correct and precise description of natural or material universe is known as physics. So a branch of science, physics is a branch of science, no doubt. It is one of the branch of science which essentially deals with the calculation and measurement and precise reading and correct reading, or correct description and precise description of the material universe, which is what we see around us. Now, physics is the basic discipline on the category of natural science. So, physics is the basic discipline in the category of natural science, just like chemistry and biology. Physics come from the words, the Greek words means nature. So as I've told you, physics is always dealing with nature, a natural phenomenon which is happening around us. So physics is always connected with nature. So now here we remark on the two principal thrusts in physics, that is unification and reduction. Let us discuss about these two words, unification and reduction. First of all, let us look into unification. Unification means, for example, one theory can be applied in so many conditions and so many, let us say, natural phenomena. Take the example of law of gravitation. With the help of law of gravitation, I can explain, or we can explain, about the falling of an apple. And the same law is applicable about the revolution of the planet around the sun, or let us say the revolution of the moon around the earth. So you see, the same law is applicable into so many, let us say, natural phenomena. This is called unification. Now number two, let us say about reduction. In reduction, we have, for example, a big system. So very complex system. So to understand that big and complex system, what happened here is that we study them parts by parts. We study it into small, we divide it into small parts and study the details of all those small parts. Now when we get, let us say, the knowledge of all those small parts, we combine those knowledge and know, or let us say, now we will have the knowledge about the whole system or the whole complex system together. So with this, we conclude the topic today. Thank you.